Hey guys, welcome to a Bandemic podcast brought to you by Kinsman. I am your host, Ray Bada, and tonight on the show we have a very special artist, Mr. Rudolph Llanes. He is a local singer and songwriter. You've seen him around everywhere. We're going to be talking about his upbringing in a musical family. We're going to be talking about the quarantine, what that looks like, and of course we're going to get into some gear. And we're going to finish it off with his new solo album that's coming out very soon. Stick around, it's going to be an awesome show. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Rudolph Llanes. What's up, dude?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having
Good.
me.
Dude, thanks for being on the show, dude. I'm sure the people that are watching and listening have seen you all around the coastal bend. So, I,
Um,
yeah,
that's a
we're
good change, maybe.
yeah, dude. Yeah, we're excited to have you. So, we always start off in the same way. We always start off, how did you get started playing music? Who started you down this road?
My dad was I guess you can call him a semi-pro
Nice.
musician. So he was into music and had drums set up and just listen to jazz, R&B, all kinds of music. And then on top of that, he was in Tejano bands because
Nice.
being down here, so he was playing Spanish music too. So it was pretty much a hodgepodge of different genres of music that were going through the
Yeah.
house.
Was he a guitar player?
No, he was a drummer
Nice.
actually.
So, what
My mother, oddly enough, would it was years because I started off playing drums and I expressed some interest in playing the guitar, some melodic instrument, and
nice.
I had a knack for like picking out melodies off the radio or whatever albums we're listening to.
Yeah.
So my dad got me ukulele. I think
Yeah.
ukulele. Well, in the 80s we called it ukulele. And
Ukulele.
uh, and my mom, oddly enough, she was hoarding all this knowledge. We didn't know that she was musical at all. So she got the uke and started playing like "Ain't She Sweet" and um, um, all these songs, Earth Angel and all that stuff. And she would sing beautifully. And for years, we didn't know that ever existed.
Wow, that's amazing. So she was a songwriter, or what was
No,
her
she was
story?
just, I guess she was just a closeted interpreter of song. She
Nice.
would sing all the things that she liked, but I don't know when she had time to do it. Like if I go 2 weeks without singing or playing the guitar, I forget. But she, I think at that point I was 12 years old, and she went 12 years without even singing a note or whatever. Maybe she would wait until the three of us. I have a brother too, so
Nice.
the three of us would leave the house. So yeah, so it was a collective there. It was my dad playing semi-pro gigs with the and the Tejano circuit and the jazz circuit. I know that sounds weird, but that existed.
Yeah.
And back in the 80s, and then my mom just having a knowledge of like stringed instruments and singing. So that was that.
Dude, that's amazing. So, do you remember um, some things that stood out to you as a kid as far as artists that were playing around the house and that you heard and you're like, oh man, I kind of like that.
Right. You know what? Even at a young age, like I would say in the single digits, very formative. Like in the 80s, like early 80s, I would hear there was a guitar player, a local guitar player named Chris Maddox.
Charismatics.
And he was like from Seguin, some hick from Seguin, and played country, primarily. But I guess he was going through the David Irving School of Jazz at Del
Yeah.
Mar, and he would come and play with my dad, and he played "Girl from Ipanema" on a
Nice.
gut string guitar, kind of like this one here.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so like those are my favorite guitars. Anyway, so like he was playing "The Girl from Ipanema," and I was like, wow, that is beautiful. That is gorgeous. And so
Man.
that was like real, and of course, and then the Beatles, my dad, I guess at a certain point, Nickelodeon had the Beatles cartoons on,
Nice.
and I watched that, and that was my first exposure to the Beatles. I was like, what's that? And I don't even think they were affiliated with the cartoon,
Wow, that's
like
amazing.
as far as the production. So but yeah, for the music and all that stuff. But yeah, I remember like the nudge to get into guitar was like hearing the Girl from Ipanema played by this local guitarist back when I was a kid, and I was like, wow, I really want to learn that. But it took me like 10 years to learn it. You know, I didn't learn it till I was a teenager because I had to remember it again. I had to remember that I liked it. You
Yeah. Nice. Did you do music in high school or middle school?
I did. I was a drummer, like I said. So I was in high school, high school band and middle school band,
Nice.
but they called it junior high then.
Yeah.
And my dad had this weird thing to where my dad's pretty competitive, so he would gear me up for like trying out for all city
Nice.
and all state and all region. Like when you're in high school, and he would just grill me, like, hey man, you need to learn this, you need to learn this. But the problem, and it's regrettable, but the problem is I never learned how to read. Like my eyes have always been piss poor.
Okay.
So it's like I never could move my eyes quick enough to see the next measures. So a lot of times I would remember.
Okay.
I would
Okay.
just memorize what the pattern was or what the piece was.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm kind of and I would get first chair and I would win all city and all that stuff. But it's just like I would just I would hear it played and I would go through it, and in time it'd be like or over time I'd be like, okay, well, I've remembered it, so I don't even have to. I would have the sheet music as a prop, say.
Yeah.
And then of course it wasn't doing anything. It was just always in my noodle.
Nice.
But
So
yeah,
when
that's
did you make the switch to guitar?
well, so my brother is a drummer.
Whoa,
And
nice. A family
my
drummers.
dad my dad is a drummer and I was a drummer, so something had to give, and I think that's what happened. Just like my and I wasn't very good at playing guitar, so when I switched, I switched because my brother wanted somebody to play with, right?
Okay.
So he would tell me to learn all these Beatles songs, and at that point it was God, what was it? I mean, there was Rush,
Yes.
YYZ,
Yeah.
doing all the Alex Lifeson songs, and my brother was really into Neil Peart,
Yeah.
uh, and he would throw his sticks at me when I would butcher the line. He's like, man, you're sorry. Back in the 80s, it was like, you're sorry, man, you're sorry. And I remember that. I was like, man, it is hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can say that you're not playing every lick that Neil's playing. So come on, guy, give me some. So that, but and then he would say, okay, well, let's go something more intermediate. Say, let's play some Beatles music. And even that, I couldn't learn verbatim, which he hated. This is my brother, and when we were just teenagers,
Was he
preteens.
older than you, or was he
Yeah, he's 2
younger?
years older than me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he was, I would say he's like 14 years old. I'm 11 or whatever, and he was just like, man, you're sorry. If I didn't learn like, She Loves You perfectly, and to this day, I can't really learn any song perfectly.
Man, so were you singing at that time?
I didn't sing until by necessity. I was kind of meandering through my teenage years, playing drums and guitar, but concentrating on school and girls and all that stuff. So my dad, I was like 15 years old, and my dad had a band. And at that time, when I was 15, there was like a smooth jazz wave that hit.
Okay. Yeah.
The Rippingtons and just smooth jazz, something I would never listen to, but it was just prevalent. It was in the air. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
in Corpus Christi there was a radio station called The Waves, and it
Yeah.
was 97.5. So, and that guy, Gary Miracle, he was the owner, or he was the disc jockey. And I actually went to school with his son Shannon in at Cappy.
Nice.
And they would play like Rippington, just any David Sanborn,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Or Richard Elliott. I mean, Richard Elliott would come to David Benoit, those kinds of
Yeah.
people.
But that was during
Which
the guitars and saxes that would bring him down every year,
guitars
right?
and saxes? Yes,
Yes.
exactly. That was that.
Yes.
I think who was the guitar player?
Oh man,
Peter.
I have
I
no
don't
idea,
remember.
but I have the program still because my
Right? Oh,
aunt would take me to those, and she's like, "Oh, check it out, it's gonna be guitars and saxes," and I was like, "Oh, cool, let's go," and it'll be at Selena, and we go check it out every year.
right. And it's
Yeah,
great. I mean, and that was great. It was a breath of fresh air because a lot of people here, uh, can be a little bit limited into what they're exposed to. So like
yeah,
a lot of my aunts and uncles were just like, this is music, listen to this. This is great music, which is, to be fair, it is,
yeah.
it's something, and so, yeah, so my dad had a band that they're attempting to play like that.
Nice.
And he had recruited this guy from Bishop. It's funny, like Corpus bands, we always have to recruit some guy from Kingsville or Banquete or Agua
Yeah.
Dulce, or hey man, I heard there's a really good steel guitar player that lives in Annabelle, that kind of thing, or Orange Grove. So he'd recruited this guy named Gary Guajardo,
Okay.
who played keyboards, and he was a very great keyboard player in La Onda Tejana,
Nice.
that kind of thing. He played in Spanish world, right?
Yeah.
But he had a yen to play, English music and jazz and all that stuff. So he got together with my dad, and they needed a guitar player. But you can only, they were trying to get gigs at Chelsea's Street Pub and
Yes.
Executive Surf Club and Bahama Mamas and all that stuff, but nobody wanted to hire them because they just played Rippingtons and Richard Elliott, just stuff that was instrumental. So
Yeah.
I was playing with them, and then through just a dire need for somebody to sing a song, I must have been about 16 years old. They were like, okay, can you sing? And then I started singing. I mean, imagine it was horrible, but I did. And trial by fire, as they say.
Yep. Yep. Throw you in there, see what comes out. So who?
Right, and it's embarrassing because I'm sure there's footage of it somewhere, but and then we got a couple of gigs at places,
Nice.
so it was cool.
So you've told us about these people that were around you that were interested in this kind of music, but what was your style of music that you were like you maybe secretly listening to in the background while having to learn these other songs that people wanted you to play?
Well, I knew that YYZ and Tom Sawyer and all that stuff was alien to me. I just never took to it, so I didn't really like progressive rock. But I was somewhere in between, like, I don't know, like the Beatles and easy listening. I was kind of lame, I listened to Sinatra and Tony Bennett and all that stuff, and I'm kind of a romantic, so that played in my head in my whole formative years of living through adolescence, right? So
Yeah.
but then when I started listening to as guitar heroes go, it had to have been Clapton first.
Yes. Nice.
Yeah, Clapton is, I mean, and it's cliche and everybody says it, but like that dude was like, it was attainable,
Yeah.
and my dad had recorded on MTV. They would produce this show called Rockumentary. Do you remember that?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Rockumentary. And I saw his Rockumentary when I was very young, like 11 or 12.
Wow.
And it was just so, it was just so luxurious. His life was just so awesome, and he just looked like he was he had it all, you know. And then I heard what they called the Beano album,
Yeah.
and it was with John Mayall and Huey Flint, and actually, God, what's that guy's name? John McVie from
That
Fleetwood
was that
Mac.
after the Blues Breakers.
Yeah, Blues
Yeah.
Breakers, right? So the Blues Breakers and of course John Mayall. And I made my dad go buy me that album at Sound Warehouse. And then I listened to it and I was like, wow, this is great. And I just, you know, I had a yin to play that kind of music. So it's Clapton. And then I heard about the whole the three guitar players that ended up being in Yardbirds. And it was Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page. So it was the English guitar players for me that really, like, wow, that was amazing. This is something about the production just really hit me. And then plus a lot of the normal kids that weren't musicians would listen to like Jamaica, or the Americans say Dire Maker. And you know, they were listening to like Houses of the Holy, The Ocean, and all that stuff. And then The Ocean was sampled in Beastie Boys, and I had License to Ill record when I was a kid. So I was just like, you know, and I would listen to that Beastie Boys song. I was just like, oh, and then you hear about, you know, it's just like going through the rabbit hole, you know, just, you know, but back then you didn't have the internet. So you'd have to go like, okay, you'd have to go to the Sound Warehouse, and then you'd have to sometimes hum the song to like whoever was working, or, you know, there was a book called Phonologue.
Okay.
And then if you knew the title of a song, you would look it up. It was like a reverse lookup, and you would look up the song, and then it would tell you the artist, or vice versa. And that was like the first YouTube. You know, for me, it was just like, you know, I mean, I'm dating myself a little bit, but that's how I find out all these connections to like the English bands and all that stuff, and then of course the, you know, Guitar Player magazine and those things were really cool. I mean, you know, but yeah, that was it. So when I got to the English guitar players, that was like, okay, oh, this thing plugs in, this thing can be electric, this thing can get some reverb and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what it was. That's what I was listening to. Started getting into like Zeppelin and Jeff Beck, Truth album when I was a teenager.
Yeah. There's such a you know, you're talking about this, and I've seen you play, and in the back of my head I was like, man, he just approaches notes differently, you know what I mean? And everything you're saying makes 100% sense now that I've seen you play and heard you talk about it, because you know, most guys around here, we gravitate to a certain kind of blues playing, right? But Clapton did things different. Like his note choices were so different, and so were, you know, Jeff Beck's and Jimmy Page's. So now that you're saying, oh yeah, those guys, you know, I was influenced by those guys, it makes a lot more sense when you hear you play. Did you notice that, or is that just something that's, you know, just something that inherently has come out?
Well, probably just something I can't help.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just know, like I said, it was kind of the backstory was like my brother would be like, was so disheartened when I would try to play with him, and he'd be like, well, you know, you're not playing it like the record. So, you know, maybe my influences have something to do with it, and also the fact that I really can't even copy them. You know, this is something, there's like a mental block. I can't really, I don't know. I just can't copy anybody. You know, I can't, you know, or I don't care to try to attain a certain sound or anything like that. So it's just, yeah. I mean, I guess there's sensibilities to approach a scale, say, or a song solo is probably does have some influence. But other than that, it's just me not being able to attain what they accomplished, and then accomplishing something on the end.
Yeah,
On the
dude.
side, you know, it's just like, I mean, I've had a lot of people, because I play a lot of covers, but I do write, you know, a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, I've written albums, you know, and I write music every day. Working on an album now. So yeah, so it's just like, but I play a lot of, a lot of familiar music because of the market here,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then plus it's a nourishing market. It's a vital. It's happening, for
Yeah.
me anyway. And so it's like I've heard people say, "Oh, well, I asked you the other day after you played that song who it was by, and then I went online and I purchased it, and I don't like it." So, and it's, it's beyond me. I mean, it's just like, I was like, really? I said, when I hear playback of me singing it, I don't like me. I can't wait to go back home and do what you did and listen all day to the song that I try to play at surf club, say, that kind of thing. But it's immensely flattering, and I love to hear it. And I'm very grateful that it happens, but I don't understand it.
Man, well, that's just cool. Yeah, that's a definitely awesome way of just approaching things. Like, well, I try to get here, but I end up doing this over here, and then people still responding to it. That's a testament to your musicianship and your kind of path that you're carving. That's new
Yeah, I
and
like to
fresh.
think so. I mean, I'm just product of also the environment here. People don't know this, but Corpus is musically rich, richer than
Yeah,
a lot of other bigger markets.
yeah,
That's from where I've been. I used to hang out with my brother in Austin and live there for about a year or two. And I've just noticed like there was a mass flux of people
yeah.
from other localities moving there. It's not really like an Austin scene. I mean, the people who habitate that place now, of course, make the scene. But they come from everywhere.
Yeah.
Across the pond in Europe, they come from everywhere. But
Yeah.
yeah, so but back to Corpus, and whether you like it or not. I mean, there's it's weird how to say that, but the Corpus is musically rich, man. It
Yeah.
really does have a
That's
history.
and that's what the whole premise of this podcast was. It was like, exposing the people of Corpus to just how dense the musical population is here. You know what I mean? Because you go other places and you may see bands, but the bands in Corpus take it so much more seriously.
All right.
And their musicianship is at or above the caliber of what we would consider a big city. So it's just
Right.
like you said, it's super rich because there's just monsters on every street corner.
Right. And you know what? And a lot of times, I mean, I'm not saying it is all the time, but a lot of times it's just innate ability. It's just people who can't read music, who are just musical,
Yeah.
who are born that way. And, my brother always said, in Corpus, there's, of course, there's a great many things to do, in my opinion. But to him, it's just like, well, you go out there, yeah, y'all sound great. There's nothing else to do besides fish and get drunk or get thrown in jail, So of course you're gonna be good at something. You're gonna be good at music. So, but yeah, so yeah, you're right. Going back to the musicianship here in Corpus, it's really rich.
Yeah. Did you what high school did you go to? Just shout out the high school.
Richard King,
Nice.
class of.
Most people or a few people that are listening to this don't realize that every high school has a guitar program. So like we're just spitting out guitarists every year, just massive amounts of guitar playing. You know what I
Right.
mean? So did you take guitar at King?
I didn't.
Okay. Just curious
I
about
didn't.
that.
I don't. I don't even remember. I don't even remember who might have been the teacher.
Yeah.
But that was so long ago. I mean, I don't know. I seem to remember that it probably was a part-time teacher
Okay. I know Miss
that
Samoa's
would
been there
probably,
for a
how
little while.
yeah,
Yeah,
maybe it
but
was her.
I'm not sure if
She's
it
been
was
there
her or not.
for,
She's pumped out a bunch of
yeah.
great
But
guitar
I know they
players.
did it. Yeah, it's great. There's a guy named Brandon Marquez I see at Vernon's on Tuesday nights when I play there, and I remember that dude when I was a kid, when I was at King, and he was the guy who had the black Takamine guitar around his shoulder and walking everywhere with it,
Yeah. Yeah, they're everywhere, right? You go
I'm
downtown, there's
sure.
a guy with a guitar.
You're in that setting, and I'm sure you see that happen all the time. But back when I was a kid, there was only one dude, and he had a few. To me, he had the style already. The style that I'm trying to attain now, he had it then. He had some nice black leather boots, a blue bandana, and a guitar around his back, over his back. So
he was just cool. Like, just ask me about music. Ask me about music. That's awesome.
Yeah, ask me about music. Yeah, he asked me, It was great. But it's funny to see him now because, of course, I have a guitar slung around my shoulder and playing, at Vernon's, and he's just there, just having a good night.
That's great. Awesome. So
it was really cool because it was like a full circle thing because I did have him like, hey, I said, man, I know you play. I remember, I told him the whole story because I don't even think he remembered me, but I had him sit in, play with me, and that was cool. That was fun.
That's awesome. It was at
kind
Vernon's?
Of surreal. Like, oh, yeah, Vernon's.
Nice. Do you have a residency there? Do you have like residencies places that you play at?
I do. Vernon's is special.
Nice.
The Vernon's on Tuesday nights. I play from 10 to 1.
Nice.
And it's a solo situation. I have a loop station.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. How did you get into the looping? Because I've seen you, and it sounds like 20 people are on stage.
I have a friend in California. I lived in California for a time, for about 6 years, 10 years ago. I can't do the math. I lived there for like 6 years, about 10 years ago.
Nice.
And he was a musician, but he had a business, and he this guy made beautiful redwood tables and chairs and furniture out of fallen trees, because you can't really just rightly go cut down a redwood.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, but in California, especially Northern California, the redwoods grow in people's yards. It's kind of like mesquites here.
What?
So yeah, so it's weird, and these are like Sequoia gigantea. These are like really old redwood, like prehistoric redwoods that are that are growing in Oakland, that kind of thing. And so sometimes an owner can have it brought down because it's messing with his foundation. So he gets these fallen trees, and he makes the most beautiful tables and furniture out of the redwoods. He slabs it out and does that stuff. So he has a business, and I met him like at an open mic or open jam in Northern California, in Alameda, and we just became fast friends. He's like me to this day. He's like my best friend.
Nice.
And his name is Jim Perroti, and he's just one of these guys. He's kind of like he's kind of like my dad's like this too. These guys are kind of have this supplemental income that they can just go and get their supplement their hobby. They can go to Guitar Center and get that stuff. So I went to his house one day, and then he says, "Hey, have you ever heard of a looper? Loop station?" And I said, "Yeah, they're kind of hokey." I said, "Yeah, I've seen people do it, beatbox, and then in my head it was like that picture was of a dude like spitting in a mic, beatboxing and making a beat, which to me was like, okay, that's like very elementary." And then I said, well, it can go nowhere, especially the songs that I was writing and learning were, the ABA, ABAD, ABAC, that kind of thing. And so as far as song structure, in strong song form. But so he says like, well, take it. It's good practice. It's good to take home in your living room and play a chord and practice leads,
Okay, yeah.
stuff. And I was just like, okay. So then somehow, I don't know how it was, I worked up some music. I mean, when I'm here in Corpus with my dad loves funk music. He loves James Brown. He loves Joe Tex. He loves like Curtis Mayfield. He loves all that stuff. So there's a lot of songs that I played with him that were just 2 chords. So I worked those up initially, and then I got myself I think it's called an RT50, which is a Digitech.
Okay,
It's the cheapest. It's the thing you walk in on. You walk in at Guitar Center and it's like at an end cap for $25, And it's like a module. It's a guitar processor, and it's 2 pedals, whatever. So I was like, well, I can supplement this loop station with that and make the guitar sound different.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, let's try this. So I worked up 2 chord songs, and I started singing and I started harmonizing with myself. And then a mutual friend of ours, mine and Jim's, heard me, and she was like, hey, we're gonna have a courtyard wedding happen she owned a restaurant at the 1400s. She goes, why don't you play for the reception? And I said, okay. She was like, well, how much are you gonna charge? And then I don't know, $100. And then she says, she's a really good friend of mine. She was like, no, we're going to charge $500. And I said, okay. I said, well, yeah, take half, take whatever you want. Whatever. She's like, no. She says, we're doing okay. I got the restaurant. She was like, you're going to get $500.
Nice.
I was like, okay. So I did the gig, and then it's funny. It was kind of like it was kind of this of mine, just to look back behind me and attempt to pay the guys, but there was nobody to pay, right? So I was like, oh, this goes into my pocket.
Nice.
I was like, right. I said, okay, that's so that was a trip. But that was my first gig, and then nothing after that for, I don't know, for a lot of months. And then a couple of years went by, and then I actually tried to give it back to him. I said it was an RC20 XL, which is discontinued now. So I said, and I looked it up. It was like a $300, $400 thing, and I was just like, hey, Jim, here, man, I'm not going to use this. I just had that one gig, and he was just like, no, you keep it. I don't need it.
Nice.
And then and his arsenal, he had already gotten an RC30. Nice. He'd already gotten an RC300, that kind of thing. So he was a man of means. So he helped himself to gear. This guy had no shortage of gear. So it was just like, it was a sin. It was just going to be collecting dust, or he would give it away to somebody else, probably a teenager or something. So it was just like, you know what, I'll take it.
Nice.
So I came down here a couple of years later. I came down here, and do you know Chris Garcia?
Yes, Garcia. Of course. Yeah, of course.
Sweet Daddy.
Yeah.
Chris Garcia, he's like a family, right? So it's like, I think I told him, or he'd probably seen me play Rivet, and the Executive Surf Club had this very short-lived general manager. I forgot his name now. Oh, Billy Joe.
Okay.
And he Christopher called me. He was just like, hey, they need some music. Some Geeks Who Drink. I think it's Geeks Who Drink.
Yeah.
The show. Geeks Who Drink is ending early. We need 2 hours of entertainment. So can you come? And this was on a Thursday, and I was like, I was kind of wasn't feeling up to it, but just a guy, just a dude, single dude,
Yeah.
And I said, okay, yeah, I'll go. And I went, and he goes, and I said, well, do you want me to, bring a band or whatever? He goes, no, just bring that little gizmo, bring your loop station, do that. So then I play, and then, geeks, I'm not really good with, I'm good with a more, how do I say this, with an advanced and aged crowd.
Got you.
I'm not really good with young folk. And I thought I really bombed. I mean, no applause after every song. It was nothing. Just, it was like, and it was, for me, it's just, I can be dismissive of that sometimes, but sometimes it gets to me,
Yeah.
especially if I'm caught up in my feels on that certain day, or I had a bad day at work. So I think I was like, wow, this is really the state of affairs down here, because I'm just so used, I lived in New York for 8 years. I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, I lived in Austin. I'm just so used to, adoration and accolades and all that stuff. And I come down, it's always like this. I come down to my hometown and there's nothing,
Yeah.
And this is when I first came back, and I was like, wow, okay. And I think the pay was like $100, and I just was dejected, and I was like, okay, I was packing up my stuff. Okay, I'll just leave now. I don't even think, sometimes when I get no feedback from the audience, I probably just, I just turn it off,
Yeah.
I turn it off, and I don't say goodbye. I just say, if 11 comes through, I look at, my watch, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to stop. They don't care, whatever. So then I went to go get my pay packet, and Billy Joe was there, and he was just like, I need you to play every Saturday and Sunday during the day.
Nice.
And I said, like, when? He was like, just play to my lunch crowd. And I don't know who, I think, well, I know who, but I won't repeat his name, but he says, I'm getting rid of this guy. You need to play.
Nice.
And I was just like, I was flattered. I was like, it was kind of like, wow. I didn't hit at all with the audience, but this guy kind of had some, I don't know, foresight.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's just like a, I don't know, like a patron or something, somebody who wanted me to get better,
Yeah.
So he gave me the gig, and it was all by accident. You see, I got the loop station as a gift that I didn't want initially. I had one gig that for 2 years I didn't have anything, and then I came over here and I had a gig that wasn't good. It kind of sucked, and then at the end of the night, I was asked to return the following weekend. Nice. So I had that residency. I had surf club Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 4 every weekend, and a lot of times it was just playing to the empty tables and the empty bottles and all that stuff. But I think what happened was it enabled me to get good at it.
You're getting paid to practice, right?
Yeah, and that's the way I figured it too. But I also just like, and it also kind of made me become very, I don't know what the word is, isolated, insular. Just like, it was like, started getting like, I stopped caring who was out there, because initially I've been in a band setting, and I even played Tejano for a little bit. And
nice.
I've been used to like, I've been used to some feedback,
yeah,
being up there and having a sound check and all that stuff. And this was just like my own speaker. It was like being in my living room.
Nice.
And I was at Surf Club, and I was just doing that Saturday and Sunday, weekend in, weekend out. And I just got, that's the only thing I can say. I was like, I got really good at it. And I always say that stage practice or stage hours are better than practice hours, because for some reason it's just different energy. You can practice a song all you want in the garage, but when you get it to stage, you got to be prepared for it to suck for, at least the first couple of performances,
Yeah.
But, when you do that, and you have the stage hours, and then you get it. But yeah, that's how I got into the loop station. It was truly by accident. It was it was a gift from a dear friend of mine. And then Billy Joe, I think his name is Wilson. He heard me on a Thursday night, which I didn't think was stellar at all. And proven by the feedback from the crowd, it was kind of horrible. And then he was just like, you know what? I need you here.
Nice.
And that his belief in me was pretty cool. And then it was weird. Like a month later, he was fired.
Oh.
Or he left. He was asked to leave, I guess. And then I asked the people who stayed behind, the people who took over. I was just like, kind of with a gulp, like, me here? How about it? And they're like, oh, you're staying. So that was cool.
Nice. That's amazing, man. So tell us, when you play the surf club gig, you play with a little Gretsch. What's the word on that Gretsch?
That was a gift too. Wow, it's funny. A large amount of my income comes from tools that I got as gifts.
I think
it's called a Jim Dandy.
Hang on one second, Rudolph. I think we lost you. All right. Yeah, much better. Much better. Yeah. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. All right, so tell us about your Gretsch. You said it was a gift.
Yeah, it was a gift. Another gift. Man, I know it seems like I don't pay for anything, but I truly do. So that was a gift. It was something I'd seen like on I think I went to the Guitar Center website on the phone.
Okay.
And the way that the cascading frames were, it was a picture of the Jim Dandy. That's what it's called. And it's like a tobacco brown sunburst kind of thing, and it just looked so smart. It just looked so great. A little parlor guitar, looked like like Robert Johnson could have sit cross-legged on his on a chair in his double-breasted suit and been playing that. And I was just like, man, that just looks so sharp, and then I got it on a Christmas day.
Nice.
And it wasn't very expensive either. I mean, people think that, oh wow, that's one of them Gretches, those are great, and they're asking me, how much was that? I was like, well, collectively, when you buy it, it doesn't have any electronics in it. So
okay.
It's just a parlor guitar, just like a ukulele, and I just got like a transducer. Like, I don't think it's a Fishman. I like those I like those pickups. So yeah, I put a Fishman in there, transducer underneath the bridge. I like to tool around with guitars a lot too. So, and that was that. I mean, it's light, and has like a hard shellac, it'll take a beating, It's been sweated on. It's been, I'm sure there's been spit on, and it kind of brings to mind that I haven't really taken care of it. I should shine it or apply some sort of cleanser, but yeah, I mean, there's beer and there all kinds of things. It's been in the the pubs and the cantinas and all that stuff. So but I like it because it's light,
easy on the back.
A lot of times, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Easy on the back when you're playing 3 hours.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And then and lately, I don't know, I mean, and I shouldn't be doing this because I'm not getting any younger, but I'll play like for 2 hours straight. Like I had a gig at I was gonna say Bellino's, but it's Bella Luna, not Bellino's, Bella Luna. Bellino's doesn't hire me. So I played that gig is 2 hours, and I just played it straight. It's just like, oh, wow.
Dude, how do you keep your voice going for so long?
Vocal Zone.
What's Vocal
Zone? You heard of those?
No.
Vocal Zone is a lozenge from the UK. I think I have Can you see this?
Vocal zone, yeah.
The
Interesting.
vocal zone, something I heard of from um, Tom Jones, the
Okay.
English singer, or the Welsh singer.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm a huge Tom Jones fan,
Nice.
and me and my father, we love it, and it's not unusual, that it's funny. When I was a kid, we would go to the club or whatever to go meet girls or whatever, and then they would have like a Fat Boy Slim or do all that all the club music and whatever, and they would put on "It's Not Unusual" by Tom Jones, 1965, Duran, right?
Nice.
That later they would put that on to get people out.
Yeah, nice.
It was like at 1:30 or 1:45, they would put that on and say, okay, it's time to get out of here. And they would put "It's Not Unusual" because I figured they felt it was repellent, for young kids. But I loved it. I was like, I couldn't get enough. I was like, okay, let's play, let's play the next one. Let's play What's New Pussycat, or let's play, Anyway, so I saw an interview that he gave, and I think it was Charlie Rose or Larry King or something like that. And they were marveling over the fact that this guy is nearing 80 and he's still doing just these powerhouse ballads,
Yeah.
still delivering the strong voice. And they were like, what's your technique? Do you have any warm-ups? He was like, well, I just try not to use my voice a lot on a singing day. And then he goes, and I have a lozenge that I use. It's called the vocal zone. And he goes, he swears by them.
Nice.
So then I start looking them up, and then it's vocal zone, and it has a lot of stuff in it. It has some licorice, some menthol, some peppermint oil.
Okay.
These are the indications here. It's usage. Adults and children over 12 years old, let one pastille dissolve in the mouth and breathe deeply. And it's true. I mean, when you have one of these in your mouth, it feels like like wasabi or something. I mean, it doesn't taste like wasabi. It tastes like licorice and candy basically, but it just opens you up. That peppermint oil just really just, if anything, if you're, a lot of times because of the weather here, a lot of us are I'm nasally challenged. I have a flat nose. So it's like, I get really clogged up and sound congested now from allergies and all that stuff. So these help in that regard. And that kind of changes the timbre of my voice a little bit, makes it clear. But so to answer your question, it's these, and then of course try not to sing too much. And then I drink not peppermint, ginger tea.
Okay.
And all the things. But but the thorn on my side, the thing that really is like my nemesis are the outdoor allergens.
Yes.
They really get to me, and they, it gets to the point where if I don't want it near one of these, and if I'll go to a tap and just go straight full on hot, and then I'll put a towel over it and just clear it up,
Yeah.
But so that, and then of course pacing, I don't really belt out. I save all the belters for later.
Nice.
All the ones that, where I know I can kind of just coast, and then, on a 3-hour gig, which is unheard of in any other market. You play a lot of instrumentals.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we were talking to one guy. He was in Nashville, and the gig is 4 hours. And we were talking. I was asking him about like how he kept up, and he was like, "Man, you just really hope that the bass player can sing a few songs." It's like,
smart. That.
so I can take. But like he said, when they book you, it's 9 to 2 or 9 to 1 maybe, or 10 to 2, whatever it is, and they don't give you breaks. That's not part of the deal. And I was just like, how? And he's like, you just hope the bass player or the drummer can sing a couple songs so you can scoot off and take a breather real quick. But I was like, man, that's a,
Right.
people don't know that 3 hours on your voice will put you out for a couple days. You'll be sore for a
Yeah, it
couple
does.
days.
The recovery is a couple of days at least,
Yeah.
But then me and a friend of mine went to go see Elton John.
Ooh, wow.
When he was here. He came here, which is surprising.
Yes.
It
I
was
missed
weird.
it,
Like, I
but I
think
wanted to go.
American Bank had a run of like shows that would never come here, but did. I don't know. I guess they had like a talent buyer who was, trying to put Corpus on the map. But but now it's just something. It's just graduations and
Monster trucks.
Jehovah's Witness, that kind of thing. So I went to go see him, and Elton was sang for 4 hours straight, and I'd forgotten that he'd written so many great songs, and you're just there and you're thinking you're just going to listen to Rocket Man and all the hits, but then you're like, oh man, well, he did write that, and that was a hit in the 80s, and that was part of my childhood, and I love that song, and then you're crying, But yeah, and I saw him, I was just like, man, if this guy can do it, and he's
he's getting up there.
He's up there, and I don't even think he left the stage. I think other people left the stage, like his guitar, because he's always the center, right? So of course when they do, they lower the lights and do like like a ballad. It's him singing. We're there to see him play, right? So the other guys, Nigel Olsson and all those guys, they took off and kind of had a little bit of a drink or whatever, respite, and he was up there playing 4 hours straight, maybe even more.
Wow!
I remember just marveling over that and just telling whoever I was with, I was like, wow, he has not stopped since 8 o'clock. No opener, just played from 8 to 12.
Man, so let me ask you this: was there a show that you remember when you were either younger or recently, when you were just like that you were just like completely floored by somebody? If it wasn't Elton John, who else would it be?
Oh, I don't. I saw Deep Purple here at Johnny Land. I saw with Richie Black. I mean, not Richie Blackmore, with what's his name? Dixie Dregs. What's that guy? Steve Morse.
Nice.
That was and that was of course Mark II, or Mark II with Steve Morse. The only one that was missing was Richie Blackmore, and I was like, it was amazing.
Man.
But just the sheer sound and and the volume, it was great, and it wasn't even a lot of people. It was Corpus, right? So there's like 100 people there, 100 people there.
Oh my gosh!
And it's just like, and it wasn't it wasn't a shabby Purple. It was Ian Gillan, Roger Glover, John Lord, Ian Pace, and Steve Morse. It was the one that if they go play at Rockplast or whatever, if they go to Montreux, they're playing to tens of thousands.
Yeah, it was
they
a
just happen
humbling
to
gig.
stop in here, I guess, from and there was 100 people there, and of course they didn't pull any punches, man. They were just great, and I like that when I see musicians do that. But the most recent where I was floored and I was I don't want to say I was crying. Well, I mean, I got really emotional was Bill Frisell.
Oh man,
playing in Austin. Bill Frisell playing in Austin at Sea Boys Heart and Soul. Now that club used to be kind of just a dive bar, and the guy who owned the Continental Club took it over and made it kind of this, kind of the Continental Club Junior.
Nice.
And of course, with the dawn of social media, I follow Bill Frisell. I'm like, oh wow, Bill Frisell's on here. I'm going to follow him. And then he was advertising a show at Sea Boys Heart and Soul in Austin. And I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome.
I was like, what? And then I think it was like $15 or $20.
What?
I was like, really? So I just, I up and left, and I went over there just by myself and went up there and I left work, got up there in the nick of time, and there was hardly anybody at the door. Paid $15, and I just saw Bill Frisell.
Amazing.
Which is to me, Bill Frisell is like is God.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I finally found somebody who was like, okay, well, I can't play like him, but like I understand him better than I've understood anybody else. So so that was great. And I have footage of it. I was literally 5 feet away from his feet.
Oh my gosh.
The platform was on the stage was only like 2 feet. It's not, it was, like I said, it was a dive bar, so it wasn't decked out to be like this huge venue.
Yeah.
It was very cozy. I mean, there's one bathroom, so I mean he used the same bathroom as us. It was so funny. There's so many people that look like me in the audience.
Nice.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, of course, I'm over here, and sometimes I feel like I'm just an outcast. I look different, but I went to go see Bill Frisell, and then, even him, I kind of look like him too. So it's like we all have the same kind of glasses, the same shoes, like everything. And I was 5 feet away from his pedal board. And he has these, not figurines, but these little stuffed animals.
Huh, nice.
That he places at his pedal board. And it's not even a pedal board. It's kind of like me where, he hasn't made a pedal board for himself, or no one's made him one. It just has a bunch of pedals that plug in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it becomes spaghetti, and it becomes like hard to figure out what's what, and I was like, wow, look at this guy. This guy is the best guitar player in the world, and just revered by everybody, from Americana to blues to jazz, serious jazzers, to everybody wants to work with this guy. At all levels of the music industry, commercial, pop to obscure, and everything, and world renowned. Everybody knows him around the world. And then
yes,
he played for $15 and 5 feet in front of me. It was like he was playing in my living room. I can show you, sometime later, I can show you like the footage of it. It's incredible. So yeah, that was something that floored me, and I was like, oh, I couldn't even breathe. I forgot to breathe, actually.
Man,
there was a couple times where I was like, I had to take a deeper breath, but that was great, and that was very special. But yeah, I mean, I still get, I still have a yen and a want to go see shows, and then with all this pandemic thing going on, it's hard, and it's heartbreaking, but yeah, that's the show for me in the recent past.
Yeah, so you've mentioned two guys, and all these. I'm taking cues from what you're saying, and you mentioned Clapton and you mentioned Beck, which are Strat guys. And
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Can you see me?
Now you are frozen, but I can hear you.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Back? Okay.
Now it's perfect. Now it's good.
I don't know what's going on. We've never had this problem before. I'm sorry about that, man. My bad.
I'm sorry. I'm kind of a genius.
Well, so you mentioned Clapton and you've mentioned Beck and you mentioned Morse, which are Strat guys, but you speak very highly of Bill Frisell, and he's a Les Paul guy by nature.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, are you a Strat guy or a Les Paul guy?
I have all of it.
I've seen you both. What if the house is on fire and everybody's safe? Which one are you saving?
You asked me that question, put me on the spot, but I think that my favorite guitar on the planet is this bastardized Telecaster that I got from Robert Llanes. Nice. I would take that. It's like I don't know. It's just, and I've never been a telly guy.
That's
You know,
crazy.
I mean,
I don't even think
I'm
I've
sorry.
seen you with a telly. I've seen you with your pink
Yeah, and
Strat
it's
and your
a
Les Paul.
relatively new occurrence, and and you know, of course, I have all these guitars that are that are not like high gear guitars, but that telly, it's just something mean about it. It's just I feel like I can do anything with it. Like I feel
That's
like I can
insane.
play any genre, jazz or blues or funk or or Latin, whatever. It just and it's light. I don't know, and it's tellies aren't traditionally light, but it's just I guess the way they set it up, or
Man, that's
and it sounds just mean. It sounds gritty. And I used to have a roommate called Jose Felix, the guy from Puerto Rico. He plays with the San Juan Underground,
yeah.
and
We interviewed him a week ago.
yeah. So he was just like, I think I beat him to the store because it was kind of like a pastime of ours to go to Robert Alanis's Air Street Music and just go hang out there and see what he has. You know, he just has some knockoffs, but he has some, of course he has a back room full of all the collector stuff,
Nice.
high end stuff. But he had I had this Pro Reverb, a Fender Pro Reverb amp, and it was just getting too heavy for me.
Okay.
And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna trade him something. Pro Reverb from '71 is can fetch $1,500. So.
Yeah. Was it a
but you know
210?
what? I got second
Was it a 210 or a 112?
210.
Oh, man, that's a great amp.
Oh, it's a great amp. Yeah, I've had a lot of great amps, and I don't have them anymore. It's weird, I have this weird kind of love hate, not even a love hate. I'm just kind of a dismissive attitude about gear, But to answer your question, it was that telly that I got from Robert. And I went in with my amp, and then there was this blonde deluxe. The Fender makes those deluxes that are, of course they're capacitors, not capacitors, but they're not wire point to point, anything like that. It's a circuit board.
Okay.
And they're new, that kind of thing. And they're loud. I've noticed they're loud, but I've noticed that their reverbs go out. Every deluxe that I've seen or I've been on a stage with, the reverb's not working. For some reason. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna take that blonde amp. I said, you can have this back. And I said, and then I just got a guitar, just arbitrarily, just got a guitar to play with the amp, just to see how the amp sounded.
Yeah.
And I picked up that telly, and it just sounded good together. It was, of course, a Fender Deluxe twin, or not a twin, but it had two speakers in it, and that telly, bastardized telly, just parts from different Telecasters, and I played it. I was just like, well, I'll take this. I said, I know I gave you more than what this is worth, so what do I owe you? And he was just like, oh, just give me $200, call it even. Just like, okay.
Nice.
That's great. So I came in there with a Pro Reverb that was just not getting the sound I wanted to get. To me it was crap.
Okay.
But it had a name, and it had the years, it had the mileage on it.
Yeah.
It had the look, and it, of course, somebody else would sound great with it, but it wasn't working for me, and it was too heavy. So then I walked out of there with a blonde deluxe, and then the Telecaster, and then I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna play this from now on for the rest of my life.
Nice.
And then, but of course, my dad, if I play with him, he's very sentimental about a pink Strat that I made.
Yeah.
I have this Strat that's pink.
Green pickguard.
And they've always asked me like, oh, why is it pink? I was just like, it's just a conversation piece. It's just pink. I mean, I don't know. I like pink.
Nice.
Sue me, that kind of thing. So yeah, says Pink. So he has me playing that, but other than that, and then when Jose was here, we tried to be in a band together, and he was playing a Ibanez hollow body with humbuckers, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
and there was kind of a bromance love affair at first. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go get one too. So we played in a band together.
Nice.
And I would play, the thicker gauge hollow body, and he would play the more of the 335 style hollow body, and sounded great, good blend and all that stuff. But I don't use it so much anymore. But yeah, so if the house was on fire, I would take the telly. Man, it's so mean, And then it's like that's the one I will go and have taken care of. I'll take it to get serviced. Like nice. I won't take, and it's probably netted me the least amount of money in my life.
Man.
But I'll go take that. Hey, can you fix this? You strobe it, set it up, put strings on it, polish it a little bit, I'll pay you whatever you want. I'll do that for that one, but everything else, I mean, that Gretsch needs some work, because the frets are, there's like scallops in there because I've used the Gretsch, I mean, you're talking about when I'm, of course, the residency at Surf Club, and then the residency at Vernon's, for a while there, I was playing 3 nights a week.
Wow.
4 nights a week, and some of the same guitars. So it was like, wow, so I needed something. But yeah,
those nickel frets, man, they'll divot real quick within a couple years of hard playing.
You do your own stuff? You do your own fret work and all that?
Not frets, but I do mostly everything else. But frets, right. I mean, everything most of the stuff that I have has the binding, and you pull out the fret, and all of a sudden you have to like do that, cut it just a little bit further so the fret goes over, and I'm just like, I'm not that good. I'll take it to a pro.
Right.
But yeah, man, I've noticed with the nickel frets, 2 years of hard playing, there's pits, you know what I mean? I didn't know this, but Chris Garcia, man, great guy. He took a look at Roman's McCarty, and he was like, dude, there's this like moon of fret wear. And it's so bad. Like it started on the first fret, and it just kind of went like this. The most places where you play the guitar. And he was like, the intonation's so off that you need a refret. You can't fix the intonation. So he went and got a whole new refret, and now it's beautiful. It's great. But he went with stainless steel, so stainless steel's not going to wear nearly as long, or as fast.
Does it change the sound of the guitar at all?
Yeah, it's a little more pingy, but I've stainless steel on a few of my guitars, so it's so minuscule that it's kind of like, I'd rather not refret things, so might as well do that.
Or wear a thicker gauge string or something.
Yeah, I'm stuck on 11. What's your string gauge? What's your go-to? 10s, 11s? 10s? Nice. 10,
yeah.
Nice.
On the jazz guitars, on that Ibanez, I have like 12s, and I think I had Jose set it up for me.
Nice. Do you ever do a flat wound?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Not anymore.
They're pretty interesting. I tried them out on a Gretsch, and I was like, this is kind of cool. You never have to change them. And they never go bad. They sound the same.
I have flat wounds on a couple of basses that I have, but
nice.
But not on them. But because that's just the sound. Like when I record, I just like, kind of an old, MPEG harmony bass kind of thing, So nice. I like the really dead sound,
Nice.
I don't want the strings to be too lively on the bass, but yeah. That's what...
So tell us a little bit about your new stuff that you're working on. What can we expect from the new stuff?
So yeah, it's been a long time coming. So I have like maybe 10 years worth of writing.
Nice.
That and I've always been. I think the reason why I've excelled at, if you want to call it that, at looping was the fact that I've always had like project studios. I've always done studio work.
Nice.
and everything, like the drums and the bass and the guitar and the keyboards and string parts and all that stuff. I've always been, I've either done it for myself or I've been asked to do it for other people. So some I really didn't care to put my name on, but yeah, happened. And so I'm just really good at it, So it's like, and I've demoed all of it basically over the years, and I'm listening to it, and some of it sounds dated, and some of it doesn't, and some of it just sounds. And at the core, I think the songs are good. So
Nice.
I'm just basically, it's a backlog, and I'm picking out the best songs that I've had in the last 10 years, and just put them out there. People have been asking, and then it's just like I kind of lost sight on, when I was a kid, I wanted to, move to New York, and I wanted to be famous,
Yeah.
And so I was hunting for that. I put out a record on an independent label. It was just, it was just a lot. There's a lot that goes into it, and this. You know this, but it's a lot of stuff, man. You have to do. You guys are kind of like you and Roman are doing, y'all do a lot. Look what you're doing now. Doing just every, the mics and the recording and the guitars and the engineering and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you have help, but it's just like, so, I didn't, when I was a kid, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that you had to, if you're working for an independent label, you have to make the calls, you have to book your gigs, you have to do all that stuff. And I thought that I was like, okay, well, this is, or put an album out, well, what are we going to do? Well, when is somebody else going to call and buy out this guy and give me the money, that kind of thing. So it's like, I didn't know what it entailed.
Yeah.
And it's like anything else. And, when I was in New York, I met a lot of people who were working it, who were working the circuit, as they say. And then, and people who were, older than me and younger than me, and they were doing something that I just wasn't prepared to do.
Okay.
I was more, I wasn't as I was a little bit more artistic than I was like a go-getter or somebody who would solicit gigs or.
Yeah, that's a tough part, man.
Yeah,
that's a real tough part where the artist. I think nowadays the artist has to be the business person too, and it's such a. It's, you take this left brain type person and now you're telling them, okay, you have to be right brain too. And it's just kind of like, man, it turns into so much more than what you're good at. You know what I mean? So you're like, oh man, how do I manage the being creative with being a social media person or this person?
right.
You know what I mean? So
it's maddening. I can imagine I mean, it's funny. I mean, that you guys have the whole package, and there's some people that ask for my card, and my card just says my name and my number.
Yeah.
It didn't even say musician. I mean, it just says my name, and they're like, "Really?" And I said, "Well, do you have a Facebook, or do you have?" I'm just like, "I don't. I have an Instagram, and I just post, my life, just my meanderings in life, if you want to get into that, sometimes like at the 11th hour, I'll post it. Hey, I'll be here.
Yeah.
But there's no scheduled dates, So even now it's hard for me to even to deal with that, but even now I don't even solicit gigs.
Yeah.
I just say they call me, and that's nice, but it's also like kind of detrimental too. I probably could play more, which I don't know if I would even want to, but I could probably play more just to enhance myself. But I just, like I said, I don't solicit gigs. I'm not calling, I'm not on the phone. And I think a lot of it's because, we work where we work. I have a straight job, day gig, same as you. So when, I can kind of rest on that. And then I love what I do. I fix computers for kids. So it's like, it could be worse. I could be no offense to anyone out there, but they be picking up trash or digging ditches. But I probably find some enjoyment in that too. So.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. It is, and it's hard to solicit gigs, and I'm just happy when they come. And I think what happened was in New York, I was just so used to validation. Even now, like I'll go to when I travel, I go to some of the music shops. I remember when I was with my an ex-girlfriend of mine. We were traveling from New York to Texas, and she wanted to drive, and then I would stop. We'd stop in Raleigh, we'd stop in Savannah, Georgia, all these places, and I would go to the music stores. See, I had like a U-Haul truck because we lived there and we wanted to move back to Texas, and so what I could pick up, and I would just play some guitar and do a little bit of singing to her, actually, just to sing to her. Yeah. And I would get, hey, where are you from? Are you local? That kind of thing. It's just like, so I was just used to that. And when I was in the Bay Area, I'd go up there and I would go to open jam, and pretty much soon I was running the open jam and had a couple of gigs out of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think that is detrimental to somebody who needs to be, like you said, the business side of things, and the social media manager, and the person who cultivates a following and material to distribute to people, to listeners. And that's kind of been my hiccup over the last 30 years.
So what advice would you give somebody that wants to kind of do what you do? What advice would you have for young guitarists or young songwriters that are in the coastal bend?
Just have fun doing it. I mean, that's the most. I mean, I've been through periods of my life to where it wasn't fun, but it was because of I made it not fun. But I would just have fun doing it, and really, if it's in your heart, it'll come out.
Yeah.
And just and guitar players need to learn their chords.
Well, man, you had a leg up. You were a drummer. Your rhythm is impeccable, and so you're just adding on that, like, so. Yeah,
so the bass is easy because I'm a drummer and a guitar player. But I just said, take the time. If I didn't learn how to read music, I did learn my chords. And nice. I've been at it for so long to where I know where it's going, and I think that's valuable lesson, just to really listen to all kinds of music and not limit yourself, and love what you do. If you're gonna get gigs, man, just cherish the fact that you're moving people.
Yeah.
People, and I'm gratitude, and have gratitude when you get gigs, and then you don't ever forget that, man. Whatever you believe, whether it's just innate ability or God given or whatever, you've been gifted, and you should have gratitude, and really have gratitude in knowing that you're moving people. And that I'm always blessed every time it's somebody will say something. I don't know if they're just blowing smoke or whatever, but they'll say, God, you really made me cry today, that kind of thing. And and I'm just like, wow.
That's nice.
I don't get it. It's just amazing. To me, it's like, it's amazing. And I'm forever grateful for that too.
Man.
And if it's 2 people in the audience or 2,000, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And somebody told me, play like God's in the audience every time.
That's good stuff. Man. Well, dude, is there anything we haven't covered that you want to cover before we close it out?
No, we're good, man. We've been at it for a while. I'm sorry there was technical difficulties.
Oh, dude, no worries, man. Really and truly good stuff, though. Like, amazing stories and good stuff all around. That's what we're trying to do,
man. And I'm flattered that you asked me. It's pretty nice.
Man,
Thank you
well,
for asking.
where
Yeah.
can people see you next? Are you playing during quarantine?
I do. I wear a mask.
Nice.
Sometimes it's funny. You always think that you have it, right? Oh my God, that kind of thing. But it feels like a sin to advertise some of these things. But I have noticed that these places that I'm playing at are being responsible.
Nice.
And I do believe that it's just like a friend of mine told me. She was like, well, you can't, you know until there's a vaccine, which is not for another year or so.
Yeah.
You can't just stop life, and you just have to hope for the best. But yeah, so to answer your question, Tuesday nights at Vernon's,
Nice.
you got to wear a mask, and if you can take off your mask if you're at in a controlled, you're at a table,
Yeah.
with amongst friends or whatever, and all that stuff. And but it's hard, man. Sometimes I get the logic, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm just like, wow, it's out there. You know what I'm saying? But it's like anybody else. It's like anything else. You gotta create a market. You gotta create the economy. It has to keep going, or we'll all suffer. So Vernon's on Tuesday nights, and then I believe we're playing on October the 19th at Giggity's in Port A. And that's a full band. So
Nice.
A lot of people don't. Actually, there's a lot of people who think that I don't do that. They just think that I'm a kind of a one-trick pony. But I actually prefer playing with a band, and it's special because it's my dad. So
Yeah. I saw you playing with a band a few times, and your sound is insane.
Thank
I
you.
love your
And
I
yours,
love your
man.
tone, and I love your notes. Every time I've seen you play, like I'm just like, it's it from a guitar player listening to a guitar player. I'm just like, that sound is good, man, and your note
That's
choices
so
are
flattering. Thank
so
you so
good.
much. And
Yeah,
the
man.
same here, man. When I remember the first time you showed me, God, that video of you guys at the Ritz, and it was just like, whoa, this exists. This exists in this place.
Oh
And you're
man.
like, you looked at me, you're like, just kind of shrugged your shoulders, like, I guess. But yeah, I like that, man. That's great. So it's very flattering to hear that. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on. I know I'm kind of long-winded, but
Dude, no, it was great, dude. It was really great, man. I appreciate you,
awesome.
and we gotta get you for. We're gonna do a few seasons of this, so be expecting another call. And you
Yeah,
guys go check out Rudolph over at Vernon's on Tuesday and Giggity's on the 19th, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I'll be
that's
there at
it.
the Giggity's. I want to see the full
All right.
band, real bad. All right, dude. Thanks so much for being here, guys. See you next week on
Farewell.
the Bandemic.